Amara La Negra, and you're listening to Exactly Amara. Welcome back, guys. I've missed you all week, pero I am grateful that you guys continue to download and subscribe to Exactly Amara. I'm so grateful for that. I love the reviews. So far, so good. Great reviews. I'm grateful for it. Ya tú sabes, whether it is on the YouTube channel or on the podcast. Si me quieres escribir algo, whether it's good or bad, a comment, or if there's something specific you want me to talk about, también escríbeme and let me know what's happening, what's popping. And by the way, don't be stingy with the stars. Don't be stingy with the stars. And rate us 5 stars and share this podcast with your friends, your family, con everybody that you know. Así que ya tú sabes. Bueno, anyways, I definitely want to hear from you guys. And today, I want to get right to it because esta muchacha, esta mujer, esta dama, we have had several conversations in the past. I think that she is beautiful. She's smart. I love the fact that she's outspoken. She's also Afro-Latina. She is all about women empowerment. She supports more than a lot of people that have bigger platforms could. She's created a movement, a wave. I mean, she is everything. A lot of you guys, see, yo no la conocía ella como Catalina. Like, I didn't know her like that. But as soon as they told me, Amara, your guest today she's from Panama, es panameña, and she's the creator of Reggaeton Con La Gata, a multimedia platform dedicated to the history and evolution of reggaeton. Así que, mi gatica, ¿cómo tú estás? Welcome to Exactly Amara.
Ay, mi amor, thank you for having me. Estoy muy bien. What an introduction. I feel that 10 times about you. I love you.
Thank
I'm so happy
you.
to be here. You know what time it
Thank
is.
you. No, I'm super proud and honored to have you today on the show. I feel like I don't know why it hasn't happened yet, but one of my dreams, and I'm gonna put it out to the universe, Papá Dios, Amén, Padre Amado, que se me den este año somehow, even if it's at the end of the year. I need to figure out, you know what, I should write it down so I don't forget. But we need to do something where all the Afro Latinos, we really come together and do something annually, something where we continue to support, because I really hate when we start, well, I don't want to say when we started, but it's very few of us that use our platform and our voices not only to entertain but also to talk about real things that happen in our community and all those things. And you're one of those people that are very outspoken. No te da vergüenza decir, mira, está pasando esto en nuestra comunidad. No te da vergüenza decir, okay, we have to uplift más Afro Latinos or more Latinas overall. So, what inspires you to be so outspoken and vocal when it comes to the music industry and also the Afro Latino community?
Thank you, dear. What can I say? I created my platform in college. I studied the industry. I studied racism in the industry. I had the honor of interviewing some greats. And the data was depressing. The data was tough, and it painted me a very clear picture of just how difficult it is to move in the Latin music industry, right? Moving in music is not easy in general. I know you know this. So you're like, hey, okay, if it's this hard, let me make a platform for myself to give myself a voice. And the way I move, just in general, both in front of and behind the camera, yo siempre digo una cosa, hay que dar los flores. I'm very serious about that. I'm all about giving people their flowers. I'm not a first, and I won't be the last. And the only way that we will move forward is if we give each other our credit, our flores, and a space to really be, because en verdad no hay. So I'm grateful that, the platform took off, que gente está en mí. Porque en verdad, if we don't see each other, who will?
Most definitely. What inspired you specifically to do reggaeton? Because as como panameña, yo sé que reggaeton, it's a big part of the community, but there's so many different genres, right? Nosotros tenemos salsa, merengue, bachata, cumbia, punta, balada, like everything that you can think of. Why the reggaeton genre specifically?
Reggaetón es mi gerencia. Yo soy americanita de ascendencia panameña y jamaiquina. right?
Okay.
They talk about the Jamaicans who immigrated to Panama to work in the canal. I'm like, you mean my grandfather?
Right.
The Panamanians who speak Patois and Spanish. I'm like, mi abuelo, mi mamá, mis tíos. Esa es mi experiencia. So it's like it's just parallel to the history of my family. And of course, I was raised in Boston. Shout out to Boston. We're a bunch of Banilejos. I was raised by Banilejo Dominicans. Shout out to mi pueblo de corazón, Bani. I'm in DR right now. I
Oh,
was raised
shout
by
out, qué rico. Shout out
yes,
para todos
coming
los
from Puerto
dominicanos que están conectados. You already know, gang, gang, DR.
Yes, yes. I was raised by Dominicans and Boricuas, and no había como otra. It just stuck to me, you know. My mom, ella prefería mucho más yo tener fiesta de perreo en casa que yo estar allá afuera. So,
A lot of
I
parents are
became
like that.
yes. So I became gata by the person who was always throwing the house parties. And it just pretty much came naturally, like my love for reggaeton. Desde que yo nací, to be honest.
Now here's something that has been debated for a very long time, right? So, yo sé que hay un debate, por ejemplo, entre Cuba y Puerto Rico. Los cubanos dicen que la salsa vino de Cuba, pero los puertorriqueños dicen que la salsa fue creada en Puerto Rico. The same thing I've heard with reggaeton. I don't know, clarify me. There's people that say que reggaeton es de Puerto Rico, but when you talk to like a legend like DJ Blast, he says que reggaeton, started in Panama, in Panama.
Mhm.
So I don't know. How do you feel about it? Since this is what you do.
You know what? Both are right. This is the thing.
Okay.
So I say that reggaeton, right? Reggaeton, eso de Panama. And the Regueton, eso de Puerto Rico. Everybody gets their flowers. Al final, no hay reggaeton sin reggae, no matter how you spell it. Y
Yeah.
esa combinación, eso vino de Panamá, no puedes negarlo, right? In the 90s, Nando Boom was in the studio with Bobby Digital, with Sleepy Wonder, who were making that dembow pounder beat, that the beat that's el corazón del género, right? Un
Mm-hmm.
panameño estaba ahí dirigiendo creativamente, right?
Right.
So to say that it's not Panamanian, it's like it's literally incorrect. A Panamanian was there in the studio as a part of the process, right?
Yeah.
I think it gets sticky because in Latinidad, we like to stay close to like our nation, like our nationality. The idea of a dual nationality is like foreign, right? I'm not Panamanian, I'm Panamanian Jamaican. People hear that,
Okay.
they acknowledge it, but they still don't get it, you know? There's
Right.
like a subculture there. And so I get it in that when people say, oh, no fueron los panameños, fueron los jamaiquinos. It's like, well, yeah, but the Panamanians are the Jamaicans in this instance, you know? You gotta like recognize the subculture, otherwise you're literally erasing us in our contributions.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, los boricuas, para decir que ellos no metieron mano, para decir que ellos no agregaron su granito de arena, or granitos, to be honest, like, right? They really put in their work. Nadie lo puede negar, y yo tampoco lo quiero negar, right? I love Boricua reggaeton. I love their perreo. Yo
Right.
amo, like, los raíces de bomba que ellos agregaron, right? But at the same time, hay que darle flores. So that's how I go about it. Both are right. It's just, it has to be explained that way. Otherwise, estamos quitando de uno al otro, and that's not fair.
Okay, I agree. I mean, I didn't know its history per se the way that you are describing it. Pero eso es lo importante about having these conversations because now it also makes me feel like I want to go over there and do my own research to find out, what it is. Um, Here you go, something else that I also have heard, and something else I want you to break down to me because there has always been like a
Mhm.
whitewashing when it comes to music. Now what's happening when it comes to reggaeton? You feel that this is currently happening?
It's something that happened. I think that we are past reggaeton. I don't think what's being made right now could even be considered reggaeton. I think it's considered, I call it popeton. It's like pop reggaeton, like even to the
Yeah.
max. Because when the Colombians, cuando el reggaeton pisó a Colombia, literally, not my words, the words of Maluma, the words of J Balvin, ellos tenían la meta de entrar al estudio y crear reggaetón seco. ¿Qué es reggaetón seco?
Okay.
El reggaetón seco es el reggaetón sin el tumbao. Literally, they took off the timbales. They took off every African instrument from the music to make it something that's a little bit more pop. And
Okay.
people can do what they want, but vamos a hablar claro, vamos a decir las cosas como son. Esa tendencia pegó. And that's why a lot of the music we hear now, I don't hear el ranca can, raca can can. Eso no se escucha anymore. That's too
Yeah.
like quote unquote ghetto. Some people even have the cojones to
No,
tell
or
me.
old
So,
school.
yeah, which eso es lo más lindo que hay en mi humilde opinión. So with that said, yes, there's been a whitewashing. It was deliberate. It was intentional, both by way of the artist and also by way of the industry. And sadly, if in these rooms there aren't enough people to tell you, like, hey, vamos a tener una balancia. You make that, and we also make this para el pueblo, y todo el mundo come, y todo el mundo, no, nobody's in the room stopping this from happening. So, I mean, así se
But do
pegó.
you
And
why do you think that they're not stopping it? Do you think it's convenience? Because I'm gonna be
yes.
honest, being in the music industry since I was, a really, young girl,
Hmm.
it's harder obviously para los Afro Latino. I feel that if this would have been a whole bunch of like sech and a whole bunch of like, I don't know, a whole bunch of morenos being the ones to
Hmm.
sing their own music, their own cultural stuff or whatever, it wouldn't be as accepted as
Exactly.
obviously when it's cookie cutter and they clean up the quote unquote image. Because a lot of the times, if you go to the studio, in the studio, there's a whole bunch of either Jamaicans, morenos, Afro
Yep.
Latinos, Dominicans, Panameños. There's a whole bunch of us. But when they come up on stage, none of them look like us.
Nope.
So I do believe that it's part of convenience.
Yes.
Because it's the market, it's society standards of beauty, it's all those things. Do you feel that that's ever going to change? Do you feel that there's going to be a wave, which sucks to even call it a wave, it shouldn't be a wave, but do you think that there will ever be progress in that aspect, that will be a whole bunch of us singing our own music without it having to be kind of washed a little bit?
I'm trying so hard to not be like, yes, to everything you're saying, because literal, usted lo sabe, like you've been
Yeah,
around the block, you know this.
yeah,
Do I think there'll be a wave? This is the thing, and this is what makes it difficult, right? And it's what I was trying to like finish up with. I get it. Like, esto es un negocio. Esto no es para
right.
de que ir para un estudio y gastar tiempo. I'm in the studio now, so now ahora más yo lo entiendo. I'm like, this costs money.
Yeah.
Hay que hacer la cosa bien. Do you want to play the
Uh-huh.
game or not? Esa es la cosa. So this is the thing. I feel like in order for that to happen and to be successful, there would really have to be una unión, right? We would really need to have a conversation, have to get together and be intentional and like make it happen, reclaim the culture, and let other people do what they want to do. And sadly, because I que comer, I understand that you want to make the songs that are gonna hit the radios, that certain
Right.
markets are gonna turn the quick buck, right? And when it comes time down to like make the music that you want to make, no hay ánimo, no hay recurso, no hay, it's difficult, right? So I feel like in order for it to happen, right now there's the wave, which I agree with you that it shouldn't be a wave, it should be the dominant. There's a wave of reggaeton de la mata. Like there are people who are tired of this reggaeton seco, and I'm living for it. They're making like perreo, like actual perreo, hoy en día. Pero desafortunadamente no son muchos de la vieja escuela, la nueva escuela, we really need to like listen to like lo pasado, but it's a lot of give and take. It's complicated. Is the point. Yeah.
Do you feel that the same thing happens when it comes to cambiando un poquito el tema, because I know that que tú hablas un poquito de todo, pero I think que eso es igual de relevant and is as important, whether you're Afro Latino or just as a Latina at all in the reggaeton industry. How much harder is it, or how do you feel that as women we have evolved in reggaeton? Because back in the days, there were very few reggaetoneras. Obviously, one that still que todavía se mantiene muy firme es Evie, right? Evie Queen se
Mhm.
mantiene dura, pero it was kind of hard because cuando ella se metió en el género, to my understanding, we all admired her as women because she was one of the few. She also went there with a more masculine energy in order to
Yes.
be respected, in order to be, tú sabes, que ella pudiera hacer lo suyo. Now, obviously, she came out more feminine, and I feel that it almost affected her a little bit because people wanted to see that toughness in her. But then at the same time, now we see that las mujeres en el reggaetón are much more sexualized, are much more sexier. Y sí, el género ha cambiado. But when you listen to Karol G or Becky G or Nati Natasha, or you listen to the women that are now predominating, how do you feel that reggaeton has evolved and changed for women?
I think you said it perfectly, Ivy Queen. So, la primera dama del género, hay que dar las flores a mi panameña, mi compatriota, la atrevida, Ruth Gown, who, she was a little bit on the, I'd say on the masculine side también, going the gira with El General, singing about women's autonomy and sexual agency in Mexico,
Oh my
donde
God.
no
Now that you
hacían
said
eso.
general, we definitely, I feel that so many times we talk about reggaeton and we be leaving him out. Para
He
mí,
left.
bueno, de mis tiempos, right? Porque tampoco es que, I'm that much older, but he was like the first person I can think of that was singing reggaeton. What we
Mhm,
hear now as reggaeton, you play that music y es casi lo mismo. So I
mhm.
definitely am like, yeah, es verdad, you're right. It did, sí oigo ese sonido de Panamá. But ¿quién más? ¿Quién más de Panamá o que tú te acuerdas comenzó el género?
No, definitely. So, the first of el género urbano en español es Renato de Panamá. And he was in a quartet. It was actually him, no, excuse me. It was Renato, El General, Gaby El Menadito, and Reggae Sam. They were the four first group of El Género, and that they translated music from Patwa to Spanish, made soca, made dancehall, made reggae, and then El General went a little bit more commercial, made what we call now reggaeton, produced by Michael Ellis. May he rest in peace. And La Primera Dama fue La Atrevida. She was the one who could hang with the guys. But Evie Queen, and answering the previous with the women, I would definitely say that the earlier women, and I mean Evie Queen, La Atrevida, Lisa M, hasta Glory Glow, had to like tap into their hood side to like
Yeah.
make the men forget that they're women. And I'm very happy now that there are more women, but ¿y las negras pa' cuándo? Like,
Mm,
yo no veo superestrellas negras en cuál lado. Like,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
tired of feeling crazy. It's actually what influenced me to give it a shot. Honestly, being inspired by you, being inspired by Celia, being inspired by, I'm like, I'm tired of the industry feeling like there could only be one great negra. Like,
right.
todos tenemos tumbado, todos tenemos algo que decir, todos tenemos algo que para contribuir, and it's like, and yet, I'm tired of seeing us added into token playlists. Vamos a poner todo lo negro en este playlist. Vamos a celebrarlo
Right.
allá. No, ¿por qué no nos agrega a los playlists más grandes que hay? Después de Bad Bunny, va a amar a la negra. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Después de Kiko y Crazy, va a amar a la negra. Like,
Yeah,
why?
just like they'll do the it's Black History Month. Vamos a
Yep,
celebrar la cultura afrodescendiente. So in that month, it will be like the most light that you're gonna get. After
yep,
that is like, I was surprised, no te voy a mentir. Es extremadamente talentoso, super talented. But I was surprised when I saw Setch come out. I was like,
yes,
whoa, do we have a
yes.
black person? And it wasn't
Dark
black cookie
skin.
cutter. It was just, he's talented. This is what it is. I look like this. Esta la que hay, whatever. Do I feel that he gets as much flowers as he could in comparison to other talents? No. Do I feel that I almost feel like they opened the door for him and it's like y'all need to be grateful, right? That we allowed him. Like he's the one
Yep.
that's gonna represent all of y'all. That's it. We got one
Yep.
and the and if you look at the billboards and you look at the charts, you can actually count with one hand y cuidado how many negros or mulatos, moreno, afrodescendientes are really on this list. It's like I don't want to say that they took our music or our culture, porque no? I know that I understand how perhaps we have influenced our music, our culture, our sound, our food, our style, our hairstyle, our everything, our features, all of us have affected the whole world. You know what I'm saying? Not just musically. So I get that part. Que somos una inspiración para muchas culturas.
Somos fuentes. We are. It's okay. Like I get it, and that we don't want to ruffle no feathers. But it's like at the end of the day, si vamos a progresar, it's okay to say that they stole because they did. You know, like y duele decirlo, no duele, pero es la verdad. Like it hurts turning on the TV and it's like, look at everything about me except me. Like that hurts. You know, like
Yeah.
eso duele. Like I can only
It's
imagine
true,
how.
it's true. And then that's what they'll do. Cogen la música de uno, la lírica de uno, se lo ponen a otro que commercially is more accepted. They sing it, they become rich, they become the image now with this music, what the sound is. And you completely get discredit, you completely get erased from the map, even though that you created this. So I definitely agree. Es fuerte. It is hard to see it. And I'll ask you this too. You've been in the Rolling Stone magazine, Univision, LA Times. You have done it all. Tell us about the work you're doing right now and how can we support, what you're doing?
Gracias.
Claro.
Wow. It's been a journey. I started off in La Mega in Boston, talking about race and colorism there. I realized like if I'm gonna reach a bigger audience, I need to take more to the internet, the La Mega. And then I started doing more interviews behind the scenes, like detrás de cámara, behind concerts, which I found was very difficult because I remember I interviewed you in Boston, yeah.
Hmm.
Wow, full circle moment otra vez. With that beautiful blue, nunca se me olvida. You're so pretty.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so I started like that, doing behind the scenes, but that's not easy because perfect example, you were exhausted. Tú no querías hablar con nadie. You wanted to go home. I get it. And artists just gave us their all on stage, and then para después tener prensa en la cara. It's nothing easy.
Hmm.
And then, gracias a Dios, yo hice un video hablando de la historia de reggaetón. Subí un video en Twitter, vuelto viral, y después conseguí un contrato de televisión, and I expanded my base from there, and poco a poco encontrando y expandiendo mi comunidad. And I was tapped on the shoulder. It was like a two-way street, my point. Yes, I was doing this work, but also I feel like the industry was ready to have these conversations in writing, but didn't know whose shoulder to tap. And it's a gamble, right? Talking about these topics is difficult because the publicists are right there. I get the neck cuidado, no ruffle no
Right, right.
feathers. So gracias a Dios, I was tapped on the shoulder to write an op-ed for Remezcla because that the summer 2020 when George Floyd died and everybody was really showing their colors and it was really bad. Nobody didn't really know how to talk about nobody like no white Latino artists knew how to talk about race, and it was evident the industry looked really bad. Well, as bad as things are, right? Because solo fue un espejo que yo subí, right? Y después de ahí, gente, like, dándose cuenta que yo no tengo la meta de hacer pasar vergüenza a otro. That's not my point. My point is not to put anybody down. My point is not to make people feel bad. Like, what's the point of that? Like, either way, what did I solve, right? My point is, let's recognize the issues that exist, right? As a continuation of many conversations that you've had, Amara, and people who've come before me. And let's get to the point. Let's get to the solution. Like, vamos a hablar claro de lo que es. And, like, let's talk about these things exactly how they are. So I've had the honor of talking on race and music and Rolling Stone and LA Times, talking about reggaeton versus classical music, which was an honor. my platform is a bridge between academia and entertainment because I said, people really should have the tools to learn about their own history. I was tired as a Panameña, like talking about the raíces of reggaeton and people looking at me like, you're so cute. We don't know what you're talking about. Like,
Mhm.
what in 2020? Like, that's crazy.
Right.
So it's been a very difficult journey. I made sure to give people their flowers and really have people understand that cuando tú estás en mi casa, tú vas a aprender algo. Quizás te sientes incómodo, pero no, yo no estoy faltándote respeto. Vamos a aprender
Mhm.
algo y vamos a llegar para alguna solución. Ese es el punto, ¿no? Vamos a ser mejor, vamos a conseguir más dinero because also I'm not trying to throw the industry away so that nobody's getting money. Let's get money and let's do things right. Hip hop
Right.
is based off of the civil rights movement. There's a legacy of centering blackness. That should be evident in Latin music, and it's not. That is the point.
Mhm.
Vamos a hacer la
Yeah.
cosa bien.
I always feel like los Latino in that aspect we're always a little bit more like behind in
Yes.
comparison to, like, even when you look at the African American community. And then I think that that's why also when I was vocal about colorism and racism in my community as an Afro Latina, everybody was like, oh my God, what, but that's because
Mhm.
los Latinos, we're not necessarily as outspoken. We haven't really been as vocal about our issues. We kind of como que no hemos conformado with knowing what our place is and
Yeah.
being like, nosotros somos negros, this is how they treat us, we get it, and we just deal with it, and this is how we go about it. And that's not the way, obviously, to progress, whether it is in music, whether it is in politics, whether it is in whatever industry. You have to be vocal about equality when it comes to that, right? But um, on a more positive light,
Yes.
what artists, are there any artists out there right now that you're like, estos artistas tienen mucho potencial, be out in the lookout, hay un sonido, hay algo por ahí?
Musas, who are a trio of Afro-Colombian, Argentine sisters who are putting the music out there. They just released a song called Destino, and now they work on an Afro beats. I'm very excited to see what comes from them. Meliner, we just got to see each other, really. Meliner, who's been, here for a little bit. Rami, Party with Rami, una dominicana. She's so pretty. Final, who makes like very upbeat music. Jen Morel. I have a thread on Twitter. I have many threads on Twitter, but
You have
like, estamos
many.
aquí.
Feel free to slide up in my DMs because I always want to be able to support, y no de boca, sino de verdad. Si hay algunos artistas, especialmente si son afro-latinos, que you know that they have a wave, that they're doing good, if there's any way that I can at least post their music and support some way, somehow, I would love to be able to do that because it starts with us. It's like, yes, we hear
Yes.
about it, we know about it, but then what are you doing? Because a lot of times it's, we'll go support somebody that doesn't even know who we are,
Hmm.
and doesn't add necessarily any value to our community, but those that really do need us, we don't. So if there's anything that I can do, count me in. And later on in the future, si se me da lo que yo quisiera, being able to create something, una plataforma donde sea anual, that we come together and really do something, I'm definitely going to have you in mind. Me gustaría que tú le informes a la gente, where can they follow you, where can they support you, where can they hear more of your work?
Thank you. I really quick just want to give a shout out to Afro Latino Festival because, you know, I feel like they've a large part of my following, my support of why I even got the visibility that I needed, is because they have an amazing event that they pull every year también. Quizá hay algo en eso también, where they like really make sure that we have a safe space. So quiero darle los flores rapidito. But also, thank you so much, Amara. Te quiero mucho.
Likewise.
Reggaeton Con La Gata is available everywhere. Perreo 101 is getting a facelift. I'm very excited for you guys to see that. Available on all digital platforms, and as well as for those who are looking for a more academic type standardization of all the information that I throw out there, check out reggaeton.academy, www.reggaeton.academy.
Bueno, mi gente, ya ustedes lo saben. You heard it here. Mi gatica, I'm so grateful to have you as usual. Like I said, it's always an honor talking to you. And slide up in my DMs. Show me how I can support. Show me what I got to do. De
Got you,
verdad que
girl.
sí, que I'm a big believer que en la unión está la fuerza. We unite forces. we can only but become stronger and become better. Thank you, everyone, once again for joining me. And remember to follow Exactly Amara and My Cultura podcast on Instagram. You can also go check out this podcast on YouTube by going to the search bar and writing Exactly Amara or Amara La Negra, and you'll find it all right there. And if you didn't know, now you know that this has been a production of iHeart's My Cultura Podcast Network. And for more podcasts from iHeart, visit the iHeart Radio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows. This is your girl, Amara La Negra, y como siempre, acabas de escuchar Exactly Amara.